Welcome back to Metal Heroes Review, episode 102. We are discussing the final 3 episodes of Jiraiya, 48 to 50 of the series. In 48, basically, where the plot is like, oh, we finally unveil what Panko actually looks like, kind of, despite the fact we've seen in flashback where it's like almost like a giant missile. Nope, it is not. It is definitely not. Yeah, that appears that was a lie. Apparently. What the heck Panko is, he's basically a small son. Yeah. So they basically have the whole family, including Rei, where they go race to Mount Kuta, where also Justin appears. Where basically it unveils what exactly is going on here. So, we have the Demon Clan watch this. And we also see the return of 3 ninjas. Yes. We see the return of Changing Ninja, Parshus, Water, Silver Shark, and there was one other one. I think it was... because there was one there I wanted to return in this episode. Let's see if I can find him here. Because they brought back one other ninja. Oh, they brought back Darkness Devil Cats. Which I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you showing up? I thought you were in jail, dude. He somehow escaped. Somehow. So on the way to wherever they are, basically Jiraiya just eliminates all of them. Yeah, Silver Shark, Darkness Devil Cats, the guy who should be in jail, and Purchase, the guy who was claimed to be immortal the whole series. Yeah, he's killed off. Though he comes back kind of in the final episode. We'll talk about that. Actually, next episode. So, pretty much basically then, of course, they reveal what Panko is. Of course, he's a small son, and apparently his original plan was to invade the planet. Because it was his assignment to do. But because the Earthlings treated him nicely, he pretty much abandoned that plan. Now this will seem familiar basically you hear it. So, because he abandoned the plan, he's declared a traitor. Sounds a lot like the Paper Ninja Clan ninja. Where basically they kind of gave him the same reason. So also this episode, the reason why the earthquake, because the planet Dark Star is on its way to the planet. And I thought Panko was a spaceship. Nope, it's a small object. And it was assumed that Panko, that Space Ninja Germos, what was basically now, Jiraiya was apparently the identical pilot of Panko. Yeah, it's very confusing here with this. So apparently he was sent, despite the fact that he was imprisoned by Jiraiya's ancestor, apparently he was sent by the planet to kill Panko. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you were in prison during the 20 years and you hate Panko for leaving there. And apparently you were sent just now by the Dark Star. I'm like, were the writer who wrote this 3-parter, wasn't the same person who wrote Dermos' debut appearance? And I wanted that myself. Let's take a look, shall we? Because the writing here is very confusing. Oh my gosh, it's so confusing here when it comes to these characters. Okay, so Dermos' debut appearance was written by Samatsu Taku. They said here he was the head writer. So he did write episode 37. But I'm like, so you wrote 37, but you apparently forgot what you established in episode 37. Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. So we see the Dark Star and this big planet. Well, apparently it moves. Like it's like a sentient version of the Death Star where it moves by its own. And apparently, like, the planet's got lasers. Like, okay. So, of course, they leave. Because Ray collapsed. Of course, they went back. And then apparently, like, so... And then, of course, they go back. And then you have Dermas and fighting Jiraiya with all these other ninjas. And then Baron Owl shows up. Yep. First time seeing him in the show. I mean, it not been very long since his last appearance in the show, which was episode 46. He only missed one episode. I'm like, okay. Shows up, has some fighting here. By the way, the whole fighting here in these next 3 episodes all done outside. We don't see any inside stuff until episode 50. Yeah, so we have of course, by the way, you have the lead because before they can think of the foes, we have where Jiraiya is taught a secret technique by slicing a reflection, which it does come to play in the very next episode. So then, of course, they have their massive brawl with the ninjas, and he eliminates Dermast in this episode. He is killed with that technique, and then, of course, he gets slowly outnumbered by a bunch of bird ninjas. And then all of a sudden, Mafuba shows up. And then it's Rocket Man. And then it's Wild. Though in the case of Wild and Mafuma, like, for them anyways, for Mafuma, he only missed 2 episodes and he come back here. Same thing with Wild. Kind of same thing with him. Not the case of Rocket Man, where he missed 4 straight episodes to come back for this episode here. Shows up here, everybody basically doing a lot of fighting, and get this. So apparently Pinko's plan, in order to avoid Dark Star from hitting the planet, is to have Jiraiya throw his sword into the mecha so Pinko can flee the planet. And he's about to do that, and then Demon Clan show, and then well, after Dermos is defeated, so Madam Spider decides to use magic to revive a bunch of dead ninjas. And the first 2 ninjas we see come back are... Well, actually, first we see come back is Strong Ninja Abed, who died back in episode 8 of the show. Yes, he died back in episode 8. And then we see the Senior and Junior Fire Ninjas. Junior, he died back in episode 11. Yes, 11. His father died back in episode 4. And we also return of Chinese Ninja Lo Yang. He also died back in episode 11, the show. Yes. We also see return of Sound Ninja Ura, who died back in 32, so not been as long as everyone else. Beast Ninja Makaru, who have been dead since episode 7. Yeah, 7. Though he did briefly come back as a spirit in episode 25, but yeah, he'd been dead since 7, so he was dead for 42 episodes. By far the longest death time. And they also have like Feast Ninja Garma, who've been only dead for a very short period of time, surprisingly. Parchas, basically, he makes a return here. One Ninja Silver Shark. Dermos, it's like he just died in the same episode. He's brought back here. Sagara, basically, he's brought back as well. And so, in order to turn people back to being dead, so Tozen, everybody's all distracting him. Tozen decided to sneak over to where the Demon Clan are. All get distracted except for Madam Spider. And then he proceeds to, while he's able to have her, like, pushed away from it, he then proceeds to destroy the crystal ball, and all those ninjas disappear. Well, that is until basically Denki decides to just absorb all those spirits, making some giant size. Oh, by the way, the Butterfly Ninja. Begaba and Rexba, where they pretty much basically get defeated. Their swords basically are smoking, so they just toss them down and they flee. Basically give up the fight. And they just leave. They're not killed. They just freaking leave. Yes. Yeah, what happens to them? Don't really know. But now the spider returns next episode. Yes. So then, of course, basically George goes giant size. And then, of course, you have where Jiraiya basically battles him. Doski. Yeah, battles him giant size in Jizkin. He defeats the giant size. He goes back normal size. Somehow he's able to survive it. Despite like normal air shows, they would not survive that a lot of the time. So then he proceeds, and of course, then Jiraiya throws the sword they've been using the entire show, the magnetic light vacuum sword, into the Jizkin, and he proceeds to fly out the space. Then, of course, in order to defeat our main villain, of course, Tozen battles Madame Spider, where he's able to defeat her. Where she basically, after she's sliced up and said, basically turned this one white stuff is, like all the other defeated ninjas do, she explodes like she's a villain from the previous show. Yes, she explodes. Which I'm like, that's interesting. Because this also happened with her, well, Marco Sango's character from Spillbot. When she was defeated, she also exploded as well. And this happened with Gavin as well, and all her characters, except for Witch Pandora. Yeah, she explodes. And as for the Demon Ninja, well, then of course you have Jiraiya use basically Tozen's sword on him, slicing his mask open to reveal, oh yeah, I won't fall off chicken, where it's just basically Tozen's face. And then reveal his actual true face. Except he doesn't have a face. He's faceless. Which begs the question, like, wait, in flashback, he has a face. In present day, his face is gone, replaced with some space stuff. It fires like a laser beam. That was what was supposed to be his face. And then eventually Jiraiya kills him. And he explodes too. I'm like, what the heck? We didn't have that the entire show, by the way. All the villains who died were pretty much turned to this white light and they just explode that way. But not the last two villains. Nope, they have exploded like normal. And by the way, and then of course then we have, okay, so they have been defeated, Pinko's gone. By the way, at first Baron Owl basically was against them leaving, but in persuade anyways. And then the four go off their separate ways. And then like the main story's over. And I look at the runtime. We're only 14 minutes in, and so you're thinking, wait, what the heck did the episode do for the remaining, like, well, you take out the credits. What did it do for the next 7 minutes? Well, we just have basically Tola, where he's training, of course, and of course training with siblings. Ray is there witnessing it. And what else happens? Lots of stock footage. Yes, it becomes a clip show. First one they've had since episode 29. So all the major events that happened over the course of the previous 49 episodes, with exceptions with mostly put everything up until, like, from what I can tell, they have clips for like everything up until like I think like episode like 43, I think it was like 42, 43. They have all stock footage that, which I'm like, really? Did they just run out of material basically for this episode like halfway through? So it's like make a clip show mixed in with some new footage that lasts for 6 minutes. Yes, and then we have a thank you, and that's the show. Yes. So I did enjoy these last 3 episodes. I did. I thought some of the hiccups here were just really weird. Because it's like we have inconsistent writing, and like the writer credit, it's from the same person. I'm like, seriously? Yeah. Oh. I'd be right back. better. Oh my gosh, yes, that feels so good. That's better. Oh my gosh, yes, it feels so good. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So, alright. So, despite hiccups, basically this was a good ending for the show. So now I'm going to get my final thoughts on World Ninja War Jiraiya. Very interesting show. I think maybe one bad episode they've had of this whole series. I didn't think anything was really particularly awful for this series per se. I do like the suits they have for a lot of the ninjas. I thought those were really cool. Oh yeah, definitely. One aspect of the show that I was really kind of odd on. Okay, so they introduced early on in the show, they introduced the concept of the International Secret Police. Mentioned a few times, and then it just dropped on the show. Yeah, they're not mentioned. Spear Ninja just abruptly leaves the show after a dozen episodes of being the show. Yeah, he is dropped from the show for seemingly no reason. You think, oh, because what was it? Was because of Masked Man, possibly? Maybe that could have been the reason why, but also it's he and Rhea basically they had this thing where they're there for the first dozen or so episodes ish, and then they just disappear from the show for no reason. I'm wait, we're not gonna check on them? There's no appearance, but I get the fact she suffered amnesia, but she just doesn't appear. She disappears. She's gone for 12 episodes, 11 episodes. Spirit just comes completely out of nowhere. Return 23. First next episode, and he's gone. He's written out the show by saying, by never mention, oh yeah, he got an assignment to go overseas, and said, oh yeah, they say he be gone temporarily, but in actuality, he's gone from the show. I'm so what was the purpose of having him here if you're just gonna take him out of the show? What was it? Was he busy with Masked Man? Possibly. That could have been a possibility. That could be what would happen here. But I have no idea of why in the world the Spirit Ninja top-up was removed from the show. Rhea, of course, was still featured. She's in the show. But at first she appeared every other episode after Return 24. She appeared in 26, 28, 30. But then, as soon as 32 hit, she's brought back for that one. And then she's there for the main of the show. For 19 straight episodes, she's there. Which is something. She's there to be sort of background-ish, occasionally fighting. She does some plot development here. The whole thing with the jar that was mentioned, I think it was back in episode... it was very early on in the show they mentioned that her eyes glowed the same way as the jar, but yet nothing was done with that. I'm you couldn't build up it. It's I kind of felt as though that they had a plan, but I felt as though they sat on stuff too long. That's the problem with this show. It's they had some interesting ideas, but it's it took way too long to execute them. Okay, the mecha, for example, Jushin. I love its look. It looks fantastic. But I'm okay, I can't think it's a Guardian Pinko, but what's the purpose of bringing another mecha in Metal Heroes if you only use it maybe 2 times? In the entire time it's there. It appears, it shows up, it does a couple small things knock away a missile, bring back 2 dead people. So I'm thinking that possibility, this is just a theory I have, that at some point toward the end of the show was running out of money. This is my theory, is that the show was running out of money, and certain stuff they probably wanted to do, I guess Toei decided to divvy the money that probably wasn't on the show and just gave it to Lineman, possibly. Because it was not due to the economy when it comes to Japan. That didn't happen until a little bit after this. So, it's like the show was good. For the second half, I'd say the writing-wise is mostly pretty strong. Now, what did I think overall of all the world ninjas they introduced here? Like, I like the whole ninja aspect here, which I'm glad they did something different with the show. But sometimes basic sorts kind of absent for seemingly no reason. Like bringing the character like demonic ninja Sylvia, which is a woman who wears a mask, who they say she's from Europe, but probably the reason why they couldn't show her face, because of course, basically the actress is probably Japanese. She voiced yes, but who the heck was this person? Like, and also, I have got to give small criticism to the Wiki page for this one, where like, they gave information about the characters for the show, but the actors, a lot of whom basically don't know anything about these people at all. Like, some of them basically do have a small, like, little bio, but I'm kind of like, for example, here's a good example of a character. Buff Ninja Bakabu. She's played by Hiromi Nara. And I have tried to look up anything about this woman. Like, if she's still alive, how old she is now, how she was when she was on the show. Nothing. A lot of these actors, I can't find anything about them at all. So, the only actor who has anything for him, who has plenty of info, is the actor who plays Jiraiya. Yeah, he's practically the only one. I mean, let's get my information about him on here. Oh, by the way, I think that he's still active, but he's 60 now. But apparently he did show up on Kamen Rider. He appeared for Kamen Rider just for a couple episodes of Ghost. For the Ranger on Rangers, he just basically he appeared in 10 years after, and he appeared up in, well, we'll get back to that. So, Jiraiya himself does, now, here's the thing about the show. Only 2 people from the show actually return, compared to Metallica, where virtually nobody returns. Yeah, nobody returns. No. I'm sure probably some actors may return, but the characters, none of them do. A lot of the time, it seems as though after Shervan, if you look at the characters, like Spielbahn, I can see why, because they kind of wrote out basically of the show anyways. But some of these characters just don't return. I'll get to more of that later. But the only 2 return after this is Jiraiya and his younger brother. Jiraiya, of course, returns in Ninja, which I will discuss in the future, but that makes sense. That's another one. But Mafuba, he actually does return to the next show. He does. I mean, it's shocking that he returns, but I'll get to it. But I'm like, okay, so you make the star of the show for Ninja, which is fine. I'll get to that later on. Eric, the character, because he was needed for the next show, fine. But what about the rest of the characters who clearly are alive after the show wrapped up? Yeah. So, these are your world ninjas you have for pretty much appearing the whole show. Dosuke, interesting looking character, but barely in development. Benkaba, aside from the fact this woman is his daughter, we don't know anything about her mother at all, or if she received any training. I'm sure she probably did, but also for some weird reason, I'm not sure why this was, her knee pads look a lot like the one seen on the Mecha, which I found that to be interesting. But it's like, yeah, she's there, but there's no development with her. Star Ninja Rockbird, Resmuska. Like, he has like one major fight the whole show. That was in the first episode. Then it's like nothing. He's introduced to pretty much basically just a background character in the show. Yes, for someone who appears for the first 49 episodes, with exception like one or two, he does virtually nothing the whole show. At all. The Touch Ninja team, they do something. They all get killed off. Mafuba, it's like after his debut, it's like, oh, he becomes a good guy. He pops up for like 5 more episodes after his debut, and that was it. And here's something really weird though about this guy. Like, you see, he's played with the same actor who was actually in Jaspia as Megalion. Yes, he does return a couple of shows after this one. He returns in Siberian for like 1 episode, and he appears in X-Draft for 2 episodes. He also appeared as the character Master in Metallider. And here's the thing, he is still active and acting. Yeah, he is. Also, for some weird reason, I'm not sure why, but for the last 2 episodes, the actor who plays him, Junichi Hedger, who also has voice, for some weird reason, not sure why, for the last 2 episodes of the show, they switch his actor. So his voice is done by Asata Mori. The stunt's done by Sayama Sonoda. Don't know the reason for this. It's bizarre. Like, why in the world would you replace his actor when the show is about to end for no reason? Which ninja, or at least the Sorcerer's Ninja, Lady Spider, mind you, great character. I love this character. The fact she got a chance to do stuff, the fact she had 2 forms, which was interesting. Overall, really cool character. I love her costume. Interesting she's playing a general this time instead of being like the boss, because normally she does play like a main villain. But the only time I can think of she ever played a subordinate leader was actually Sun Vulcan, where she played Green Hydrigan. Her rear form was played by Hizaru Urutina. Her know nothing about this actress. She does not know anything about. Of course, yeah, Moroku Sango. This actually was her 2nd ever character she played. Well, major character, wasn't like a one-shot character. She appeared first as the character Honey in, otherwise known as Mitsubishi Doubler from Gavin. And then she played Shinigami Beast in Shirvan. Yep. So it's like appearing as 2 monsters in 2 straight ones, and then she's made the main villain of Spellbond. Though her character was used over in VR Troopers as Despanda, and then she plays this character, which would be her last character she played. If you're curious about her time over in Writer, she played like 1 character in Kamen Rider, just 1. But fans of Sentai know her best over in, well, Sentai. So as of now, when it comes to actual stuff she's been in, for basically her career in Tokusatsu, in Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Metal Heroes, I am pretty much done. Yeah, this was the last series I had left for her. Well, actually, there is one other show. There is Kamen Mecha Man. Yeah, it's one of these shared emotion shows. But I think that's like the only one left to go. Everything else is mostly done. When it comes to Metal Heroes, yeah, she's done. Sentai is done. Kamen Rider, she was already done after 1 show. But as for the other World Ninjas, Baron Owl, great character. Gel Ninja Harem, another good character. Too bad he only appeared for 2 episodes, with the exception of a brief cameo in episode 1. The Fire Ninjas, a lot of these other characters don't do much anything at all. Weil, I thought he was a really cool character. I like I like Crimson Lizard, despite the fact he only appeared in 3 episodes. I laugh it okay, but I do have to ask, why the heck would basically these characters take a long time to appear between episodes? It just didn't make any sense to me. Also, Dermouse, cool character, but he doesn't appear a lot in episodes. He only appears in, you think like 37, he gets killed off in 49. You think, oh, he appears in like 13 episodes. Oh, heck no, he does not appear in 13 episodes. He appears in 8. Yes, 8 episodes. As a cool character he is, he only appears in 8. Yeah. Jiraiya himself, like I said, cool character. It was nice to see Ken and Joe back one more time. It was nice the fact that the show was paying a lot of respect to Metal Heroes. But I think unintentionally they knew that this was going to be the last show air, because here's some weird coincidence. 49 was the first episode of Metal Heroes to air in the Heisei era. So that means 48 was the last episode for the show air, and this was the start of the Heisei era. So we have 2 episodes of Jiraiya to air in the Heisei era, just 2. But technically, it's still considered the last show era show. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it particular video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to notifications. Well, I'm going to do one more video for this, and then on to my anime. Okay, next video. Bye.